Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Americans and Germans, and everybody listening around the world. It is my great honor and solemn responsibility to discuss what is for many of you the most significant political event to occur during your lifetime, the fall of the Berlin Wall. By 1961, the year that the wall's construction began, over 3.2 million residents of East Germany had fled for freedom and opportunity available in the West. These facts are by no means unrelated. It had become clear at the point of construction that neither East Germany nor the oppressive ideology that governed it was sustainable without forceful confinement. As long as people could choose, they chose to leave. The collapse of the Berlin Wall therefore marked the hard-earned political defeat of a system which had years ago openly proclaimed its moral bankruptcy before the world. If the world's most immoral regime turned out in the end to be both a political and economic failure, so were we, as we are still, struck by the fact that the freest nations are also the wealthiest. Prosperity and flourishing, capitalism and freedom go hand in hand. But I fear that this happy coincidence, while generally true and well worth repeating, is less reliable than it was 20 years ago. With the dramatic financial developments of the past year, free markets would seem to have failed the free societies that host them. Conversely, we are forced to confront the grotesque spectacle that some of the most dubious nations in the world with respect to human rights are experiencing unprecedented economic growth. But if you'll excuse me, if you'll pardon me, I must go deeper than this and question whether economic and material prosperity are unambiguously good things with respect to freedom. To be sure, economic prosperity brings comfort and stability, and technology can and does serve as a countervailing force against the menace of tyranny. Today it would be much more difficult for the Soviets simply to cut the phone lines between East and West Germany, and our wireless world would seem to provide countless radio-free Europes to inspire the oppressed wherever they may be. But just as we question whether tyranny would be possible in a world in which everyone had access to the internet, so must we question whether resistance to tyranny would be likely or even desirable for those in a world in which everyone had a big screen TV. What I fear is that the gulags of the future will be invisible, perhaps wireless, and of our own making. What I fear above all, however, is that despite or possibly because of our relative material prosperity, we in the West face a very real, very serious crisis in confidence. In contrast to the magnificent baby boom America experienced following World War II, some of the most prosperous societies in the world are barely up to the presumably pleasant task of replacing themselves. My emphasis on psychological matters is not to suggest that we do not face very real, material threats to our freedom. Make no mistake, the Soviet specter appears to be making a curtain call, and in fact many of these poor players have never stopped strutting and fretting their way across the stage. In addition, the Iron Curtain of old has acquired newer, more exotic, though no less dangerous textures. My point is merely this, that unless we, as representatives of liberal civilization, experience a renewed sense of confidence in our ideals, in our freedom, we will not be able to face these growing threats in a manner befitting the remarkable event we commemorate here today. This will require that we rededicate ourselves not only to a politics of freedom and an economics of freedom, but that we also work assiduously to maintain a culture of freedom, which is a precondition for all the rest. We must remember that just as dissent is the highest form of patriotism, so can patriotism, for citizens of moral regimes, function as the highest form of dissent against oppressors and hope for the oppressed. The task before us is worthy of our great nations and the ideals of liberty and freedom we share. In light of this common commitment, it is my honor to welcome Germany to a new special relationship to address the special difficulties we in the free world face. Let us confront them together in strong and sure tones, supported by a renewed confidence that indeed, wir alles sind Berliner. Thank you.